Welcome to Coffee and Coverage. My name is Nicole, your host and benefits consultant here at Pinnacle Employee Benefits. At Pinnacle, our mission is to empower individuals and businesses with comprehensive business solutions. That is why we are bringing you this series where we sip on coffee, serve up insights on all things health insurance. Each episode will dive into different insurance topics and answer your important health insurance questions. So grab your favorite mug, settle in, and let's get into it. So today I'll be joined by Marantz, who is one of our benefit consultants and deals a lot with Medicare, individuals and groups, so she does a little bit of everything. But today we're going to talk about Medicare Annual Enrollment, the period, like the time periods we do them, the time you can get coverage or change your coverage, things like that. So we'll kind of dive into that with Marantz today, and she can answer all of my questions. So there we go. Okay, Marantz, Medicare Annual Enrollment. When does it start?
It is an annual enrollment period that is every year from October 15th to December 7th.
And what happens during that time? Like, what can people do?
Sure. So during that time, that is your one opportunity essentially to look at your coverage for the year ahead.
Okay.
That will take effect for January 1st. So look at the new rates, see if there's any other plan options, go over your drug coverage. It's very important. That changes every year.
So it's Medicare as far as your supplements go, but also Part D as far as your prescriptions go.
Yes.
So that time period is for both.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And now who is this for? Like what age group are we talking about when we talk about Medicare open enrollment?
Sure. So Medicare would be 65 and older.
Okay. Here's a good question. So do you need to enroll in Medicare if you're over 65 but still working? What do you have to do about that?
Essentially, so as long as you have qualifying coverage from your job, you do not need to enroll in Medicare.
Okay.
So you keep that coverage, and once you're ready to retire, you'll start making those plans about 2 months before that retirement date.
Okay.
And get everything in order to transition to Medicare.
Okay, cool. So you can stay on your group coverage if you want, right?
Yep.
And then about 2 months prior to your plans of retirement, you'd want to come in, talk to you, and then we would get it all like set up so they could go on to Medicare at that time.
Yep, absolutely. Get all the paperwork in place.
Okay. So I know one of the big questions that we get a lot is like, are you automatically signed up for A and B? When do you sign up for A and B? Can you talk a little bit about what Part A is, what Part B is, and then like the timelines for that stuff?
Sure. So Part A is your hospitalization, your hospital coverage. So any hospitalization, skilled nursing, hospice, blood, that's what that would cover. It is $0 for everybody that's worked 10 years or 40 quarters in their life.
Okay.
Your Part B would be your medical. So doctor's visits, labs, clinicals, durable medical equipment, that will have a premium for everybody.
Okay.
When you'll need to enroll in that, if you're not going to continue to work after 65 and be covered by your job, would be 3 months before the month of your 65th birthday, the month of, and 3 months after. So you have your initial enrollment period into Medicare. That is the 7-month window.
Okay. So your Part A, Part B, and then what comes after that?
Sure. So Part A and B is your hospital doctor coverage that typically covers 80% of that. So usually you want something else so that you don't end up with 20% of a hospital bill.
Sure, right.
So you can, look at your options for supplements, Medigap, whether it's Advantage plans that has your drugs tied into it. So you'll be looking at all of that stuff to get the coverage lined up that you need.
Okay, cool. And then also the drug plans, so that's Part D, that's your prescription drugs.
Yep.
Do you sign up for that at the same time you're signing up for A, B, your supplement?
Yep.
Okay.
So you'll do that enrollment with everything else. There are some plans that will include those drug plans. Otherwise, you'll need to enroll in that separately.
Okay.
Some people aren't on medications, and their question is, do I have to?
Right. I was going to ask that too.
Yep. So no, you don't have to enroll in a drug plan. But if you don't, when you're transitioning into Medicare, you could end up with a penalty.
Oh, okay.
Kind of sticks with you for the rest of your life. So might as well just go with that.
Because generally speaking, some of those Part D plans are pretty cheap, right?
Yes.
Like especially if you're not on medications.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you're better off signing up for something, paying a low monthly fee instead of being penalized forever, right?
There's a plan that's 50 cents a month, so $6 for the whole year and avoid the penalty. And
then at least you have coverage if you at some point have to go on.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else with Medicare that we can like briefly touch on today? Like that we haven't already talked about? The dates I think are the most important thing, right?
Yep.
So being that's coming up soon, what would you say is the best way for us, like, how would we schedule appointments? Are we, like, do we see a lot of people during that time, or do most people stay on their current plans? What are your thoughts on that?
So typically if people are happy with their current plan, they are just fine to roll over.
Okay.
If they do want to make changes or want us to review anything, we'll typically run through their drug list first. That's the most important part that is constantly changing every year.
Right.
But essentially, if we need to make any changes, we'll do that October 15th through December 7th.
Okay.
Get that all done for them, and everything will take effect for January 1st.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, that's going to be this episode of our coffee and coverage. So remember, coffee is optional, coverage is not. See you next time.